Hi, everyone. Welcome to this really fun, exciting experience that we've got together here today. My name is Dennis Lavoine. I'm the Senior Program Manager for Community Events on the Anaplan Community Team. I'm joined by my new friend, Prince, and we're going to kind of have like a rollicking good time, a little conversation about his journey through Anaplan, maybe where he's been outside of Anaplan, and all kinds of good stuff there. So I guess, Prince, tell us a little bit about who you are, where you been, what you're doing these days.
Wow.
I know, right? Loaded question.
I would say the first thing I think when I hear the question who I am is I think about my family, right? So, oldest of 5 children.
Incredible.
Raised by a single mother.
Yeah.
I think that's important. You know,
Absolutely.
I love my siblings. I love my family. They're like most of my motivation.
Yeah.
And so, I would say like when I think about that, it was mostly what I would say. That's who I am. Where have I been?
Yeah.
Oh God.
Loaded question, right?
Well, I was born in Ghana.
Yeah.
My father's Nigerian, so I'm Ghanaian and Nigerian.
Yeah.
I was raised in Maryland.
Yep.
I love Maryland.
Incredible crabs. Yes.
Old Bay.
Right.
You know?
Old Bay.
Come
Let's
on.
just say what it is.
There we go.
So good.
I went to University of Maryland. I lived in DC for about 6 years.
Yeah.
Loved it. And then I've been in New York for a little bit now, for a year or two. Yeah.
Nice. What kind of work do you do these days? What are you doing? Tell us a little bit about your job.
So I'm a master Anaplanner at LinkedIn.
Yeah.
And we primarily support the sales organization, sales operations, and sales managers. So all sales planning use cases at the moment. I kind of try to look at my role there as helping building out a COE. But also just trying to bring in as many people into this world as possible, trying to solve as many problems for LinkedIn as possible with this platform, but also, if needed, outside of the platform as well. So, I play mostly a solution architect role.
Yeah.
And I think the idea over the coming years is to maybe become a little bit more multi-tool when it comes to my role.
Sure.
How to best build autonomous enterprise, if you will. So
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So before you were with LinkedIn, tell me, how did you get involved with Anaplan just to begin with? Like, where was the entry point? I'd love to hear that.
So I was in a 2-year rotation program at Fannie Mae.
Yeah.
And at the time, I wanted to be on the desk, the trading desk. Yeah. So I was coming out of that program. I was shaking hands, lunches, dinners,
Sure.
trying to, get a foot in the door. And I was finding it pretty difficult, to be honest. And I remember I interviewed for a role in FP&A with a lady named Samantha Conchiker. Yeah. And she was pulled into a different project that she was going to lead, which was a cost allocation project. And I think she liked me because she thought of me and said, "Hey, I'm moving over here. Are you interested in coming to work with me?" And I had to kind of make a decision at that point. Do I want to go down this, finance, capital markets route, or try something that would allow me maybe learn a little bit about project management? Who knows, a little technology perhaps. I didn't know, but that was my thinking at the time. And I took the leap with her. I mean, I really appreciated the fact that she thought of me, right? Like, to me, that mattered a lot, right? Absolutely. The fact that she has a new opportunity and I was the person that she reached out to. So, I mean, yeah, she means a lot to me. I mean, that opportunity kind of changed the trajectory of my career, and taking that risk did. And so, we were on this 18-month project at the time, trying to understand the cost of running the business. And we ended up buying Anaplan. I think the finance department ended up buying Anaplan. I don't think our group was necessarily thought of in that decision.
Yeah.
I didn't know what Anaplan was at the time.
Yeah.
I never heard of it.
Yep.
So we went through the process of trying to understand if it was a tool that we could use for cost allocation. We ended up saying yes, and first time I saw it, I thought it was cool. I thought it was interesting. And so I dove right in, Before we bought Anaplan, we were working with some tools, I think like Microsoft Access or something like that. And I was always interested in technology, but in that role, I fully embraced everything that came with it. If I can learn tech, a little bit of project management, like some design stuff, I was getting involved in everything, right? Because that opportunity was a blessing. Like Samantha giving me the opportunity was a blessing, because I just wanted somebody to really just give me a shot, believe in me, because I was extremely motivated. And so once I got that shot, I was doing everything, nights and weekends, just learning as much as I could, taking advantage of it. And so, yeah, I got introduced to Anaplan. I was like, okay, I like it. I'll learn it.
Yeah.
So I think I got certified in like a month and a half as a model builder.
Yeah, dove right in.
Yeah. We had consulting partners, and I tried to learn everything from them as quickly as possible.
Yeah.
So that's how I got introduced.
Incredible, Samantha. If you're listening, thank you. Yeah. And that's one of the most amazing things, I think, just about life in general, but certainly about what I'm learning about the Anaplan ecosystem and our community, is that it's really about helping folks along the way, giving them that shot, opening the door for individuals. Like it's really exciting to hear that from you, because one person can change the entire trajectory of your entire life.
Yeah, and I've been doing the same for anybody I've come in contact with. If you talk to anybody I've worked with or been friends with or even related to, I've told them, and I've actually helped them coming to this like Anaplan space as well. So, yeah, for what Samantha did for me, I'm trying to do for as many people as possible.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
You talked about within a month you were a certified model builder.
Yeah.
Talk to me about your pathway through that, and when you became a certified master Anaplanner, and what that felt like, and all of that. I'd love to hear a little bit about that part of the journey too.
So I got certified, and I felt, maybe it was arrogant at the time, but I felt confident enough after 2 months, 2.5 months, that I think I can do this Anaplan thing.
Yep.
And so I left a customer at the time, and I went to consulting, and that was the next opportunity, right? So I knew Anaplan enough, I guess, to interview well enough.
Yeah.
And the next person that helped me was Nuno. Nuno was at EY. We had a great conversation. We clicked immediately. He's like pretty blunt. I think I'm generally pretty blunt, and so like I think he recognized me. He saw me.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll be honest. Like at the time, it was a difficult time. I don't know if you noticed it at the time, but dealing with like mother health issues.
Sure.
So he gave me an opportunity, and one thing is I'm a good listener, and I try to take advantage of as many opportunities as I'm given, or if I can make them for myself. And so I think maybe after training my first week, I knew who my client was. I knew I had to come to New York, and so honestly, I didn't really have much time to do like additional training, but it was on the job kind of training. So I think what the expectations was for me on my first client, and what I ended up doing was probably different, right? Like I was probably hired as a model builder, maybe do a little solution architect work, but needs must, right? Like when you're working, like the problems are there. What you're hired for, what the problems are not always the same.
Right.
And so I did what I had to do. Hours and hours of work and training, 13, 14-hour work days.
Yeah.
Probably not sustainable, but I was so energized to have that opportunity and to work with the people that I worked with. And I was building great relationships, and I liked the people I was working with, so the motivation wasn't hard.
I was going to say, was that what was energizing you? Was the people? Was it the work? Was it a little bit of both?
It's a little bit of both, and I think there's just like a bit of I don't know if it's like a feedback loop or something, where like some people don't know how important their compliments are, or just like their words are to you at the time. So I would have a presentation at the client, and like the project sponsor would say, "Hey, you did a good job." Like that meant a lot to me. I had to tell her eventually. Her name is Catherine, by the way. But those little things, like a compliment here, or I like that idea, or just like people listening to you, it's just like further validates it. I think I'm going somewhere with this. So that's really what it was. It's like just more and more validation, but you have to deliver. So the validation means I'm going to go back and refine
keep pushing forward. Keep working
going.
harder. Absolutely.
And so I think that's what continued to push me to move through that journey. And so once you deliver and the feedback is, hey, we like what you've delivered generally. What do you do with that? It's like, okay, all right, I've done the work. So let's back it up with the certifications and things like that. So once we got to the tail end of that project, And it's like, okay, all right, I have a little bit of breathing time, go straight into the certification. So that's when I went to the solution architect and then immediately master and planner as well.
Incredible. How long have you been a certified master and planner?
I think now 2 years.
2 years.
2 years, yeah.
What do you think's like been the most impactful part of being a CMA, you know, a certified master and planner? What do you think really has stood out to you about being a part of that program? Our top 1%, if you will. Yeah.
First, the opportunities, right? Like the rooms it gets you in, the type of respect that you get when you're talking to people that have problems, first and foremost. It's invaluable. Like it's one thing to not, you know, have the requisite certifications, but you have the proof of the work.
Yep.
But you have to work a little bit harder to, you know, to push through that, you know. Whereas once I became a master and a planner, one, the opportunities started coming in a lot more.
I would imagine so.
But I think the approach to me changed a little bit. Like people were just generally more interested in listening to what I had to say off the bat versus you know, we have to go through certain barriers. So, I mean, it's honestly changed my life professionally. I would even say personally too. Like to be able to be in a space where your work is appreciated, you know, listened to and validated, you know, that'll feed into your personal life as well a little bit. So yeah, it's done a lot for me.
I love to hear that.
Yeah.
I mean, and there's so many ways that I've seen and been a part of certified master and planners like contributing in terms of like contribution points and really recertifying each year. Like, what would you say has been the most impactful or maybe even the most fun part of that recertification each time?
Most impactful, most fun. I think it's another thing that keeps you on top of your game, right? I feel like when you're younger, kind of navigating through your career, and I'm young, but like navigating through your career, you're constantly looking for the next thing. You know, I try not to look at it necessarily as levels, but what's the next thing? You know, what did I develop this year, and how can I leverage that next? I think to be in a community like that, you want to call it an elite community. Yeah. If you're in an elite community, you want to not only stay within that community, but you want to be able to make a name for yourself in that space somehow, some way, through impact, through relationships, et cetera. So I think to be part of a community is very important, but to be able to leverage those relationships is more important. So that's what excites me, is, you know, kind of building out those relationships and maintaining them as well as I can.
And that was what was fun too. I mean, today we're here in the New York City office. Right. Got to see you talking with some other folks. Like that to me is like always sort of the baseline for community, is that connection between each other, that ability to learn from one another, to teach one another. Yeah. What other aspects of the Anaplan community have been beneficial to you? Because obviously the Certified Master Anaplanner program is so great, but I'd love to, like, what else maybe you could share with our audience has been really helpful for you via community?
I think the ability to exchange ideas has been massive, because, like, you know, as a platform, it's like a blank slate generally, right? Like anybody can think of anything as a solution, and it's not necessarily a bad solution, but the access to that information and how readily or willing people are to just like share information has been really important, because the use cases change, or maybe they're the same, but the requirements might be slightly different. So to be able to call someone that I've met once or twice and say, hey, I'm thinking through this idea, like, what do you think? Does it make sense to you? Like, back to the validation thing. It's like, okay, yeah, that makes sense to me. Like, keep going, or have you thought about it this way? It's like, it's been crucial, because at the end of the day, we're all making sure we're delivering the best work for our customers and our partners. So,
incredible.
Yeah.
Prince, I can't thank you enough for joining us. I know I kind of grabbed you out of the air, and thank you so much for sharing your story. I think folks listening are going to really relate to that. And what I love most about getting an opportunity to talk to people from the Anaplan community is exactly what you just said, the ability to connect and to learn from each other. So can't thank you enough. Really appreciate it.
I appreciate it.
Thanks so much for tuning in, folks. We'll see you soon.